Hello ECF, hope you are doing well, and I hope the Psalms are still being an encouragement to you and you're learning lots from it and growing closer to the Lord. Today I wanted to show something very specific, and it's something that's going to look at one of the Psalms that we had been through, but also a Psalm that we've been through previously, and the idea is context. That context is vitally important when it comes to Scripture and understanding verses. You've probably heard the importance of context in other verses, like in the book of Philippians, where it says, I can do all things through God who strengthens me. And people often pull that out of context and go, well, it shows them that they can do anything. They often relate this to spiritual gifts or something like that, when in fact the context of that verse is the idea of finances, the idea that I can do all things through God who strengthens me, whether I have much in finances or little, I can still do those things. And so as we come to the book of Psalms, it's so important for us to understand context. So let's go back to a previous passage in which we see where context is vitally important. In Psalm chapter 37, we have these beautiful verses. And in Psalm 37 verse 4, it says, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And people go, oh, that's amazing. When it comes to prayers, God desires to give me what I desire. However, that's not the full context of that verse. It's important for us to read the first few verses of that. Fret not yourselves because of evildoers. Be not envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good. Dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. And then following that, commit your ways to the Lord. Trust in him and he will act. The picture here is the idea that if we draw close to the Lord, if we do what is good, if we flee from evil, if we commit ourselves, then he'll give us the desires of our hearts, because our desires will be lined up with his desires. We will no longer desire things that are just flesh and are things that are material, but we will desire more the things that God desires. Another famous verse, and one that we would have been through recently, is Psalm 46. And you've probably gone into many Christian bookstores and all these other things, and they'll have mugs and pencils with the idea of this verse in it, the verse from Psalm 46, verse 10, which says, be still and know that I am God. And people use this, and it's of great comfort to them. And it's the idea, well, just be still, be quiet yourself, and know that he is God. Now that concept is in the scriptures, but we shouldn't really pull it from this verse, because once again, we should understand it within its context. In this passage, God is telling Israel that he is their refuge, he is their strength. But then we come to verse 6, and you'll hear these verses. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter, he utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our fortress. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolation on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. In other versions, it says, cease striving and know that I'm God. In fact, the better way to put this is quiet yourself. Be quiet and know that I am God. The picture here is more the idea of those who are moving against God, or trying to take things within their own control, or not realizing what God has done, and God is now speaking to them to be still, to quiet themselves. This is a passage more about God bringing his wrath and people needing to prepare themselves and know that he is God, rather than just a passage of just comfort, of the idea of just being still quietly. Context is vitally important. And so as you continue through the Psalms, I hope that you realize that it's not just to remember one of these verses, but to remember that verse in its context. And as you remember it in its context, that's where you'll find comfort, and that's where you'll find encouragement, understanding it all and how it falls into God's greater plan. And as we understand the book of Psalms in its context of the Bible, we can then also see how important it is for us to draw closer to Christ and know him. I hope you have a blessed week. Thank you, ECF. Bye.